They don't tell you this part. Not when the passion starts fading, or when you begin pretending it doesn't matter anymore. But deep down you know something's missing, and it's not just about sex. Hi, I'm Dr. James Whitmore, and if you're over 50 and feeling tired, disconnected, or low on drive, you're not alone. But there's a natural way to fix it. This is for you if mornings feel duller than they used to. If your body still wakes up but your spark doesn't. If you've started telling yourself, maybe this is just how it is now. Maybe the moments of intimacy feel fewer. Maybe your partner doesn't touch your arm the same way. Or maybe you catch yourself remembering how things used to be, not just in the bedroom, but in how you carried yourself. That fire, that confidence, that quiet sense of certainty. Let me be clear, you are not broken. What you're feeling is real, and far more common than you think. For millions of men and women after 50, the world doesn't grow quieter on the outside. It grows quieter inside. The drive to connect fades, the motivation dips, the body slows. But the most painful part isn't physical. It's the quiet story that begins to take root. Maybe my best years really are behind me. That's where most people stop trying. They settle into resignation. They call it aging. But what I've learned in the clinic and in my own life is that libido isn't something you just lose. It doesn't disappear in a day. It dims. Softly. Slowly. Silently. Until one morning you catch your reflection and wonder, where did I go? I was 62 when it hit me. I wasn't sick. I wasn't depressed. But I didn't feel like a man anymore. I'd wake up without energy. I'd go to bed without desire. I didn't feel broken. I felt invisible. And that's when I looked in the mirror, not with self-pity, but with truth. I'm still here, I whispered. But where's the rest of me? That was the turning point. Not a prescription, not a supplement, but a shift, a small daily habit that changed everything. We'll talk about that in a moment. But first, I want to talk about you. Let me ask a few hard questions, not to shame, but to free. Have you stopped initiating touch, not because you don't want to, but because you don't feel wanted anymore? Do you look at your partner and wonder when the closeness faded, and whether it's worth trying to bring it back? Do you find yourself avoiding mirrors intimacy, even your own thoughts, because something inside you just feels muted? This isn't just libido, it's identity. It's your body whispering, please pay attention. Because after 50, so much changes. Testosterone drops, circulation slows, estrogen shifts, sleep becomes lighter, and cortisol, the stress hormone, rises and overstays its welcome. But this isn't just chemistry, it's connection, or the lack of it. No one tells you what this feels like. Not just fatigue, but waking up next to someone you love and feeling like there's a wall between you. Not rejection, just distance. Not sadness, just silence. A quiet emptiness where once there was warmth. And the danger isn't just physical. It's emotional isolation. Disconnection from your body, from your partner, from the world, from you. Let's break this down. After 50, the hypothalamus, the command center of the brain, starts to become less responsive. The pituitary gland sends weaker signals. Testosterone declines in men, estrogen destabilizes in women. Stress lingers longer. Nutrients absorb more slowly. And blood flow, which fuels not only intimacy, but cognition, mood, and energy, begins to falter. For men, this means lower testosterone. For women, it can mean imbalance, estrogen dominance, or depletion. Both bring mood shifts, fogginess, reduced desire, and emotional withdrawal. But biology isn't the full story. What you've been told about aging is the real problem. The culture quietly whispers, cope, accept, settle down, step aside. I reject that, and I want you to reject it too. Because what I've learned, and not just through studies but in the heartbeat of real life, is this: vitality doesn't vanish. It waits. It waits for you to choose it again. And that choice, it can start with something so simple you might overlook it. Before I tell you the habit that saved my libido at 62, I want to give you something stronger than hope evidence. The Mayo Clinic published a study showing that older adults who made small daily lifestyle changes like early light exposure, protein-based breakfasts, and low-stress rituals saw measurable improvements in energy, intimacy, and emotional well-being in under 30 days. Another study out of Harvard found that adults over 60 who maintained regular intimacy, not necessarily sex, but emotional closeness, experienced greater memory retention, better sleep, and longer life expectancy. In other words, the body doesn't forget how to feel alive. It just waits for the right signals, and the most powerful signal I found, the one that brought everything back online, wasn't a pill. It was the sun. Each morning I began stepping outside within 15 minutes of waking. No phone, no sunglasses. Just 10 quiet minutes of standing in the gentle light, letting my skin and my eyes absorb it, breathing, feeling, listening. That was the beginning. Because morning sunlight tells your brain it's time. Time to rise, time to regulate, time to produce testosterone, time to feel like yourself again. In the next section, I'll walk you through why this works, and how just one habit can shift everything from hormones to mood to motivation. But for now, I want you to sit with this one truth. You're not past your prime. You're not meant to fade. You're not too late. You were built for connection. You were designed to carry energy. And you still have the power to feel alive, not in theory, but in reality, one small habit at a time. So, why morning light? Why would something as simple and free as sunlight have such a powerful impact on your energy, your hormones, and your sense of desire? The answer lies in how your body understands time and how it responds to light. When you wake up and reach straight for your phone, when you shuffle around the kitchen under artificial lighting, when your skin never touches natural morning sun, your body doesn't fully wake up. Instead, it stays in a fog. Your brain doesn't get the signal it needs to produce testosterone or balance cortisol. Your internal clock, known as the circadian rhythm, falls out of sync. This rhythm controls much more than sleep. It regulates testosterone, cortisol, dopamine, and melatonin, or of the most critical hormones that impact energy, mood, and yes, libido. When this rhythm is disrupted, your testosterone stays low. Cortisol, the stress hormone, stays high. Melatonin lingers too long. And this cocktail of confusion starts a slow, silent breakdown in your drive, confidence, and presence. Now let's flip the script. When you step into morning sunlight within 10 to 15 minutes of waking, even if it's cloudy, you send a clear, primal signal to your brain. Wake up. Set the clock. Rebuild. The light enters through your eyes, activates the suprachiasmatic nucleus, your body's master clock, and triggers a cascade of hormonal instructions. Luteinizing hormone rises. That's the very hormone that tells your body to produce testosterone. Cortisol levels normalize. Dopamine begins to rise. This isn't speculation. It's science backed by studies from the National Institutes of Health and Stanford University. Just 10 minutes of early morning light can set the stage for higher testosterone production throughout the entire day. And here's the part that struck me the most. When I began doing this, I didn't feel like I had taken something. I felt like something had returned to me. After just a few days, I noticed I was waking up before my alarm. I had more energy, but not in a jittery way, more like grounded momentum. I felt the urge to move, to engage, to create. And yes, I began feeling desire again. Not just sexual desire, but a desire to live. You see, libido isn't just about intimacy. It's about vitality. It's about presence. It's about being tuned into your own body again, no longer just surviving the day, but participating in it. And that brings us to the second piece of this daily habit: food. Specifically, what you eat within that first hour of waking. Most people over 50 are starting their day at a disadvantage. They grab a quick carb toast cereal, or worse, just coffee on an empty stomach. This spikes your blood sugar, crashes your energy by mid-morning, and sends your hormones scrambling to stabilize. But if you give your body what it actually needs first thing in the morning, quality protein and healthy fat, everything shifts. I began starting my mornings with eggs rich in choline and healthy cholesterol, which is essential for testosterone production. I added a quarter of an avocado for healthy monounsaturated fats, and 2 or 3 Brazil nuts, which are packed with selenium, a trace mineral directly tied to reproductive health and thyroid support. And the change wasn't subtle. I felt more steady. My hunger was regulated throughout the day. My mood didn't crash by noon. I was no longer reaching for snacks out of fatigue because my body had what it needed. But the third part of the routine is what sealed the transformation. Movement. Not a full gym session. Not running on a treadmill. Just movement. Gentle, intentional in the morning light. A 10-minute walk. Stretching on the porch. A few slow squats while breathing deeply. That's it. But that little act of motion, especially in combination with sunlight, changes everything. It boosts nitric oxide, which improves circulation. And better circulation means more blood flow, not just to muscles and joints, but to the brain, to the heart, to the places responsible for intimacy and connection. You don't just feel awake, you feel alive. One study published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine tracked men over 60 who took a brisk morning walk every day. After 8 weeks, not only did their testosterone levels rise, but their reported satisfaction with intimacy and overall energy improved dramatically without any medications or supplements. The same principle applies to women. Movement and sunlight regulate estrogen, increase dopamine, and help restore a sense of emotional connection to the body. And let me emphasize something important. None of this has to be perfect. You don't need the ideal conditions or a perfectly timed routine. You just need to be intentional. Even a few minutes of this new rhythm practiced daily can send a new message to your body and your brain. I care. I'm still here. Let's rebuild. Because your nervous system is listening. Your hormones are listening. Your spirit is listening. When you give it the right signals, light nourishment movement, it doesn't just function better. It remembers what it's capable of. I had a patient, 67 years old, who was convinced her drive was gone for good. She said, "I'm just not that kind of woman anymore." But when she began this simple, routine, light breakfast walk, something shifted. She started feeling more warmth in her chest. She described moments of unexpected joy, a clearer mind, and a deepening desire to connect with her partner again. Not because she forced it, but because she finally felt safe in her own body again. That's what this is about. Not chasing youth, but reclaiming rhythm, returning to something ancient, primal, and beautifully human. In the next part, we'll talk about the deeper emotional layers, the silent grief, and the forgotten confidence that often block libido, especially after 50. Because what holds us back isn't always physical. Sometimes it's what we've learned to silence. But before we get there, I invite you to try this tomorrow morning. Before the world gets loud, step outside. Just 10 minutes. No distractions. Let the sun touch your skin. Let your breath slow down and whisper to yourself, I'm still here, and I still matter. That one moment could begin everything. Let's talk about the part most doctors never mention. The part that doesn't show up in blood tests or physical exams. The part that quietly influences every decision, every hesitation, and every moment. You feel something inside you has gone missing. I'm talking about emotional weight, the heaviness you carry not in your shoulders, but in your soul. See, libido is not just about hormones. It's about readiness. It's about being present in your body, feeling safe enough to want to receive, to engage. But after 50 life layers on, quietly, you've been through transitions, losses, doubts, and years of putting others first. And without realizing it, the emotional center that once fueled your fire begins to dim. Maybe your body doesn't move the way it used to. Maybe you've endured grief, the kind that doesn't scream but sits in your chest every morning. Maybe your confidence took a hit not from any one moment, but from 1,000 small ones that made you feel invisible. Maybe the touch that once made you feel desired now only reminds you of how long it's been. What I've seen and felt is this: it's not hormone levels that steal desire. It's grief. Quiet grief. The kind that whispers that part of you is gone. Grief for who you used to be. Grief for the version of yourself who once moved with ease, connected effortlessly, loved freely. And grief, when left unspoken, begins to tell your body it's no longer safe to feel. Grief lives in the breath. It shortens it. In the muscles tightening, the shoulders clenching, the jaw. It raises cortisol, suppresses testosterone, and numbs sensation. Not just physical touch, but emotional presence. And perhaps worst of all, it silences the voice inside that once said, I still matter. I still desire. I still belong in this world as someone alive, not just existing. After 50, you're not just navigating aging. You're walking through an invisible forest of emotional residue. Years of stress, disappointment, guilt, rejection, and internalized shame, all stored quietly in your nervous system. It doesn't just weigh on your mood. It blocks your energy, your connection, your capacity for intimacy. But here's what's remarkable: the body remembers. Even after years of disconnection, the body remembers how to come back to life. You don't have to fight for it. You just have to create space. And when you combine intentional physical rituals like sunlight, nourishing foods, gentle movement with emotional softness, something opens. Something long buried begins to breathe again. Because libido is directly tied to self-respect. Not in the egoic sense, but in the sacred internal way we show up for ourselves. When you begin to treat your body as a place of worth, not of judgment. When you stop punishing it for aging and start listening to it with grace. You send a message to every cell: you are still safe. You are still wanted. You are still home. It starts with small moments: compassion, forgiveness, presence. The choice to take 10 minutes in the morning just for you. The permission to say no to what drains you and yes to what nourishes you. These aren't just lifestyle tweaks, they're healing signals. I think of one of my patients, Helen, 64. She came into my office not asking for libido help, but simply because she felt numb. She loved her husband, but hadn't felt connection in years. She avoided intimacy not out of dislike, but because she felt disconnected from herself. I don't recognize this body anymore, she told me. We didn't begin with supplements or hormone panels. We began with presence. 10 quiet minutes in the morning, a soft hand on her heart, a walk in the sun, a journal, a slow breath. a whispered reminder I am still here. 3 weeks later, she came back and said something that still gives me chills. I didn't get my libido back. I got myself back, and everything else followed. That's what this journey is really about. Not fixing a problem, but returning home. Returning to your body, your energy, your spirit. Aging doesn't mean you've lost your power. It just means you have to reclaim it more consciously. There's a study published by the American Psychological Association that looked at older adults who practiced daily self-compassion and body awareness. The results were striking. These individuals reported stronger sexual desire, greater emotional closeness, better memory, and a more positive outlook on aging, not because of perfect bodies or youthful skin, but because they had reconnected to themselves. You see, the nervous system is like a tuning fork. It remembers trauma. It remembers neglect. But it also remembers joy, touch, warmth. It just needs an invitation. So tomorrow morning, I want you to try something. Before you do anything else, stand in front of a mirror. Don't rush. Don't fix your hair. Just place one hand on your chest and whisper, I still deserve to feel. I still deserve to connect. I still deserve to live fully. You may feel silly at first. You may even resist it. That's okay. But your body is listening. And over time, it will respond. Because when we shift how we speak to ourselves, everything changes. Hormones shift. Breath deepens, safety returns, and from that place, desire is born again. Not forced, not faked, but real. This is not about performance. This is about permission. The permission to be human, to age with warmth, to slow down with strength, to love not in spite of your years, but because of them. You are not here to relive your youth. You are here to rediscover something richer, a deeper, wiser kind of desire. One that doesn't depend on perfect skin or performance, but on presence, awareness, and emotional safety. In the next section, I'll walk you through the exact 3-step daily routine that restored my energy, my clarity, and yes, my desire. We'll go from concept to practice morning to night, and you'll see just how simple this path back can be. But for now, take one more breath, feel your feet on the ground, and remind yourself gently, I'm not fading, I'm returning. Now that we've talked about the biology and the emotional healing, let's get practical. Let's talk about what to actually do. Because this transformation from fatigue and fog to energy and presence doesn't require a miracle. It doesn't even require drastic change. What it needs is rhythm, a simple daily rhythm you can return to consistently, calmly, and without pressure. That's what I call the 3-step daily path back. It's the exact structure I followed to rebuild my own libido and vitality at 62, and it's what I now share with every patient who walks into my clinic feeling lost. And no, it doesn't involve waking up at 5 a.m., plunging into ice baths, or spending hundreds of dollars on supplements. It's gentle, it's realistic, and it works. Because the body doesn't respond to punishment. It responds to consistency, to care, to rituals that whisper, you're still worth showing up for. Let's start with morning, the most important window of your entire day. The first 60 minutes after you wake are sacred. This is when your body is most responsive. Testosterone production is supposed to peak. Cortisol naturally rises. And your entire hormonal system is waiting for instructions. If you meet it with stress screens or sugar, you disrupt the balance. But if you meet it with light movement and nourishment, you restore something ancient inside of you. So here's how to begin. Within 15 minutes of waking, step outside. No phone, no sunglasses. Just let the morning light touch your face even if it's overcast. Even 5 minutes makes a difference. While you're there, move. Stretch your arms above your head. Walk slowly. Breathe deeply. Then within the first hour, eat something real protein, healthy fat, not processed carbs. Eggs, avocado, nuts, Greek yogurt. Something that tells your body we're safe. We have energy. Let's build hormones. This morning combination, light, motion, and fuel, signals your brain that it's time to thrive. It doesn't just regulate testosterone. It rewires your nervous system. You begin to feel present again. You respond to life instead of bracing against it. And most importantly, you begin to return to a version of yourself that feels awake. Then we move into midday, and this is where most people drift. Energy dips, blood sugar wavers, and with it the desire to engage fades. We withdraw, scroll, eat out of boredom, disconnect. But libido doesn't live in isolation. It lives in connection. And one of the most overlooked libido boosters is human presence. This doesn't mean romantic intimacy, although that can return beautifully. It means taking time, even just 10 minutes, to connect with someone. Call your adult child. Take a walk with your spouse. Share a laugh with a friend. Compliment a stranger at the grocery store. It doesn't matter how small the moment, what matters is presence. Because oxytocin, the bonding hormone, and testosterone both rise in social settings. And the more emotionally safe and engaged you feel, the more your body allows desire to return. This is especially important for women. Connection increases estrogen balance. It reduces stress. It restores the feeling of being emotionally held, not in a physical way, but in a relational one. For men, social engagement increases testosterone and confidence. Two things that directly impact not just libido, but joy. Midday connection is more than just emotional hygiene. It's biological therapy. And then comes evening, the final essential pillar. The mistake most people make is treating nighttime like an afterthought. But your body can't restore what it didn't have time to release. You need a full, calming shutdown process, a soft landing that tells your brain, you can rest now, you're safe. That means turning off screens 60 to 90 minutes before bed. Blue light blocks melatonin, and melatonin isn't just for sleep. It's also responsible for triggering testosterone recovery during deep rest. Instead of television, try sipping tea. Chamomile, lemon balm, or passion flower all help calm the nervous system and support hormonal balance. And if you can take 5 minutes to journal, write what you felt that day. One thing you appreciated. One thing you noticed in your body. These tiny acts increase dopamine, lower stress, and reestablish emotional connection to yourself, something critical for libido. Lastly, sleep in full darkness. No hallway light, no TV glow. Full blackness helps your body reach deeper REM cycles, and those cycles are when testosterone is rebuilt. If you don't sleep well, you don't recover. If you don't recover, you won't desire. It's that simple. So here's the full rhythm, plain and clear. In the morning sunlight, within 15 minutes of waking, a little movement and a high-protein breakfast. At midday, 1 moment of human connection, something real, something kind, and at least a few minutes away from screens and isolation. In the evening, reduce stimulation, sip calming tea. Take a moment to reflect or journal and sleep in full darkness. Do this for 7 days, just 1 week. Not perfectly, but intentionally. And notice what begins to shift. It may not feel dramatic at first. You might simply feel more grounded, a little clearer, a little less reactive. But your body will notice. Your hormones will respond. And the part of you that felt faded will begin to return, not rushed, not forced, but invited. Because healing doesn't happen through intensity. It happens through rhythm, through patterns of care that slowly convince your nervous system that it's okay to feel again. It's okay to want. It's okay to come back to life. In the final part of this journey, I'll leave you with a message, one that goes deeper than libido or hormones. It's a message about dignity, about memory, and about reclaiming the parts of yourself that aging tried to silence. Because this isn't just about desire anymore. It's about liberation. Let's bring this full circle. Because if you've made it here, you already know this was never just about hormones, or libido, or aging. This was about you, the part of you that never stopped wanting to feel alive but maybe forgot how. The part that got buried beneath responsibility, routine, and the quiet pain of not being seen. You've lived decades. You've given your strength to others, to your partner, your children, your career, your community. You've carried more than you ever admitted. And in that giving, you may have forgotten how to give back to yourself. You survived. You endured. But somewhere along the way, a piece of you dimmed. And now something inside is whispering, is there more? Yes. There is. Not because I'm your doctor, but because I've been there myself. At 62, I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the man staring back. I wasn't sick. I wasn't broken. But I wasn't me. I had the degrees, the home, the status. But inside I felt flat, disconnected, like I was watching my life from behind glass. And that's when I made the choice not to chase my youth, but to return to myself. It started small. Just a few minutes of morning light, a different kind of breakfast, a gentle walk, nothing dramatic. But those tiny moments added up to something enormous. They sent a message to my body, a message that changed everything. I'm still here. I still matter. I still want to feel alive. And as I kept showing up day after day, my body responded. Energy returned, clarity sharpened, and slowly, so did desire. Not just sexual desire, but the desire to move, to laugh, to connect to life. That's the real secret. Libido isn't a switch, it's a flame. And that flame needs air. It needs space. It needs to be fed. So if you're sitting here thinking it's too late, it's not. If you've convinced yourself that fading is just part of the deal, it isn't. The body is far more forgiving than we give it credit for. The nervous system doesn't care how old you are. It just wants to feel safe, supported, and seen. And when it does, it begins to bloom again, not out of youth, but out of trust. I had a patient, 74 years old, widowed for over a decade. He told me that part of me is gone. I'm too old for this. But I encouraged him to try the routine, the light, the movement, the nourishment, the connection. He did it reluctantly, quietly, no expectations. But 3 weeks later, he came into my office and said, I woke up one morning and realized I missed touch. Not in a sad way, in a hungry way. Something inside me woke up. That's what this is really about. Not performance, not fantasy, not proving anything to anyone. It's about aliveness. You are still here. You are still capable of fire, of connection, of joy. You are still worthy of being touched, not just physically, but emotionally. And no number on a calendar can take that away from you. So give yourself permission, not to be perfect, but to be present. Wake up and choose one thing that signals care. Let the sunlight in. Put something real in your body. Take one step outside. Look your partner in the eyes and say something honest. Let the rhythms of life bring you back into your own skin. Because here's what I know: when you commit to rhythm over intensity, when you choose kindness over shame, your body listens, your heart softens, and the part of you that once felt like it had faded begins to return. You gave your strength, your time, your love to so many. You showed up again and again for everyone else. And now, finally, it's time to show up for you. Not to fix, not to fight, but to remember. You're not reliving the past, you're writing a richer chapter. A slower, wiser, more honest kind of aliveness. You're not chasing youth. You're reclaiming truth. You're not fading. You're returning. And the moment you choose that, the moment you say yes to showing up again, everything changes. If this message touches something inside you, let it stay. Let it guide you into tomorrow. Take what you've learned here and apply it gently. One morning, one breath, one decision at a time. And if you're ready to keep going to deepen this journey, don't miss our next video. 1 spoon of this oil boosted my testosterone. It could explain more than you ever realized. Comment below with the words, "I'm ready." Not for me, for you. So you can look back a year from now and say, that's when everything changed. Because your best years aren't behind you. They're one choice away.